So, continuing on the journey of doing 650 prayers from the Bible, we're now today doing Numbers chapter 14, which is prayer for the upholding of divine honor. So, in chapter 14, we're going here, and it's talking about after the bad report that was given by the spies, where the people wept all night. Not so much because of a bad report, but simply because they regretted leaving Egypt in the first place. So that this is when they were just continually complaining. They were so distressed that they rose up in rebellion against Moses and Aaron. So we discussed that in the previous chapter as well. So here we're going to go into Israel's refusal to enter Canaan, which is where God had promised, the land of milk and honey. Then the whole community broke into loud cries, and people wept that night. All the Israelites complained about Moses and Aaron, and the whole community told them, if only we had died in the land of Egypt, or if only we had died in this wilderness. This is the Lord bringing us into this land to die by the sword. Our wives and children will become plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt? So they said to one another, let's appoint a leader and go back to Egypt. So see, they're all ready to go into rebellion and do so as a group. Then we continue with verse 5. Then Moses and Aaron fell face forward in front of the whole assembly of the Israelite community. Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among those who scouted out the land, tore their clothes and said to the entire Israelite community, the land we passed through and explored is an extremely good land. So here they've already seen the promised land. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us into this land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and give it to us. What's interesting here is in verse 8, where it says, if the Lord is pleased, you get that reward of the good land, the promised land. So that means you have to be in obedience with God. Only don't rebel against the Lord, and don't be afraid of the people of the land, for we will devour them. Their protection has been removed from them, and the Lord is with us. Don't be afraid of them. Wow, literally this is reinforcements telling you to go, move forward despite the fear. While the whole community threatened to stone them, the glory of the Lord appeared on all the Israelites at the tent of meeting. I think one of the main things that's evident here is the fact that Caleb and Joshua trust God. So it's, when you are dealing with difficult challenges, one of the things that you must do is to really increase your faith and just claim the promises of God. Speak them out of your mouth daily. So you can go to Deuteronomy 28 and read the blessings that he has, which are verses 1 to 14, and just trust that God is going to follow through and give to you. And when God is pleased with you, he will give you the land of milk and honey. He will give you that promised land. You just can't rebel against God and have fear to go into the land that God has promised you already. So then we continue on verse 11 with God's judgment of Israel's rebellion. So the Lord said to Moses, how long will these people despise me? How long will they not trust in me? Despite all the signs I have performed among them, I will strike them with a plague and destroy them. Then I will make you into a greater and mightier nation than they are. But Moses replied to the Lord, the Egyptians will hear about it, for by your strength you brought up this people from them. They will tell it to the inhabitants of this land. They have heard that you, Lord, are among these people, how you, Lord, are seen face to face, how your cloud stands over them, and how you go before them in a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. If you kill this people with a single blow, the nations that have heard of your fame will declare, since the Lord wasn't able to bring this people into the land he swore to give them. He has slaughtered them in the wilderness. Wow. Now we continue on verse 17. So now may my Lord's power be magnified, just as you have spoken. Verse 18. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in faithful love, forgiving iniquity and rebellion. But he will not leave the guilty unpunished, bringing the consequences of the father's iniquity on the children to the third and fourth generation. Please pardon the iniquity of this people, in keeping with the greatest of your faithful love, just as you have forgiven them from Egypt until now. The Lord responded, I have pardoned them as you requested. Yet as surely as I live and as the whole earth is filled with the Lord's glory, none of the men who have seen my glory and the signs I performed in Egypt and in the wilderness and have tested me these 10 times and did not obey me will ever see the land I swore to give their fathers. None of those who have despised me will see it. But since my servant Caleb has a different spirit and has remained loyal to me, I will bring him into the land where he has gone, and his descendants will inherit that land. Since the Amalekites and the Canaanites are living in the lowlands, turn back tomorrow and head for the wilderness in the direction of the Red Sea. Wow. You see the about face that they're making there? Okay, now we continue on verse 26. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, how long must I endure this evil community that keeps complaining about me? I have heard the Israelites' complaints that they make against me. Tell me, as surely as I live, this is the Lord's declaration. I will do to you exactly as I heard you say. Your corpse will fall in this wilderness, all of you who were registered in the census, the entire number of you, 20 years old or more. Because you have complained about me, I swear that none of you will enter the land I promised to settle you in, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, son of Nun. Here God then goes on to say, I will bring your children whom you said would become plunder into the land you rejected, and they will enjoy it. But as for you, your corpse will fall in this wilderness. Wow, that's crazy, isn't it? Your children will be shepherds in the wilderness for 40 years and bear the penalty for your acts of unfaithfulness. Until all your corpse lies scattered in the wilderness, you will bear the consequences of your iniquities 40 years, based on the number of 40 days that you scouted the land, a year for each day. So when you walk into your promised land at age 40, maybe this is what has transpired in the previous generation. Then you continue, you will know my displeasure. I, the Lord, have spoken. I swear that I will do this to the entire evil community that has conspired against me referring to God. They will come to an end in the wilderness and they will die. So the men Moses sent to scout out the land, and who returned and incited the entire community to complain about him by spreading a negative report about the land. Those men who spread the negative report about the land were struck down by the Lord. Only Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, remained alive of those men who were to scout out the land. So then verse 39, we get to Israel rooted. When Moses reported these words to all the Israelites, the people were overcome with grief. They got up early the next morning and went up the ridge of the hill country, saying, Let's go to the place the Lord promised, for we were wrong. But Moses responded, Why are you going against the Lord's command? It won't succeed. Don't go, because the Lord is not among you, and you will be defeated by your enemies. The Amalekites and Canaanites are right in front of you, and you will fall by the sword. The Lord won't be with you, since you have turned from following him. But they dared to go up the ridge of the hill country, even though the ark of the Lord's covenant and Moses did not leave the camp. Then the Amalekites and Canaanites who lived in that part of the hill country came down, attacked them, and routed them as far as Hormah. You need faith to actually follow God. I think the fact that Joshua and Caleb affirmed the truth and were able to provide, insight of what they saw, that should have blotted out all objections, but it did not, because the people continued to complain. But the difference here is that God's power is what made the difference. God's power is when God's power is backing you. God always makes his presence known, even when there are tests and people disobey God. And if you're not going to get to the promised land based on the complaining, you won't enter the new land. But God does forgive, so he will still move you forward in another way when you come into alignment with him. It's funny that people always, myself included, always need signs from God, but it's interesting when you realize that the signs that you get from God really just affirms the faith that you already have. It doesn't give you new faith. It just affirms what you've already dealing with that's there. So the main thing here is that the requirement is that you must have faith in God to move forward in his blessings and the promises that he has already ordained for your life.